smart and innovative things came from us. But a lot of the mistakes that we made were done off of ego, and I was with that.
Joseph Guillermo Jones II, aka Jim Jones, born July 15th, 1976. Harlem's own Jim Jones was never supposed to be the frontman of the Diplomats, but for a moment in time, he had the opportunity to wear the crown. A key figure in the Diplomats movement, Jones came up as more of a behind-the-scenes hustler, Camron's right-hand man, the muscle, or the marketing genius who helped shape their larger-than-life persona. Yet, when the time came for him to step into the limelight, Jones proved he could be more than just a supporting player. His 2006 breakout hit We Fly High was a cultural moment, producing one of the most iconic ad-libs in hip-hop history, Ballin, which took over arenas, street corners, and even professional sports celebrations. The success of Hustler's P.O.M.E. in 2006 solidified his ability to move as a solo artist, reaching number 6 on the Billboard 200 and eventually going gold. Jones's rise wasn't overnight, but it was undeniable. His influence extended beyond music, helping popularize hip-hop's rockstar aesthetic, oversized chains, and a flamboyant fashion sense that embodied the Harlem swagger. He was more than a rapper. He was an architect of the Dipset movement and a tastemaker whose impact could be seen across the culture. By 2008, Jim Jones was in prime position to take over. Camron had stepped away from the spotlight, Juelz Santana was dealing with label issues, and the door was wide open for him to cement himself as the new face of Dipset. He capitalized on the moment with Pray for Rain in 2009, his first major label release on Capitol Records, but instead of elevating him to hip-hop's elite, the album flopped commercially and critically. The lead single, Pop Champagne, gained some traction, but it failed to capture the magic of We Fly High. Since then, Jim Jones has struggled to regain his footing as a relevant solo artist. While he's remained active in music, dropping projects, and staying connected to the streets, his ability to break through on a mainstream level faded. His group Dipset has been plagued by internal tension, most notably his ongoing feud with Camron, which has only further distanced him from what made him great. So what went wrong? Why couldn't Jim Jones fully rise to the occasion when the moment called for it? He had the opportunity, rap pedigree, being a part of a legendary hip-hop conglomerate, and he had the ability to make a global hit. Not to mention timing, being at one point the only active Dipset member in the late 2000s when his brand of rap was still popular. Yet, for these reasons, he never fully rose to that potential. What happened? Let's talk about it. Salute to I Put the Hood On 86 on IG for this request. It's your boy JC StuntedGrowthMusic. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Jim Jones is a rapper born in the Bronx, New York, but raised in Harlem that emerged in the early 2000s as a founding member of the Diplomats alongside Camron, Juelz Santana, and Freaky Zeke. Initially known more for his street ties and business acumen than his rapping, Jones played a major role in shaping the Diplomats brand, directing their music videos, and pushing their independent grind. He officially stepped into the booth with On My Way to Church in 2004, which established him as a solo artist, followed by Harlem, Diary of a Summer in 2005, which showed growth and delivered regional hits. His defining moment came in 2006 with Hustler's P.O.M.E. featuring We Fly High, a record that made him a household name. As Camron stepped away from the industry and Juelz Santana's career stalled, Jones had a window to take Dipset to new heights. However, his momentum slowed after Pray for Rain in 2009 underperformed, marking the beginning of his decline. Stunt number 1, lack of lyrical and artistic evolution. Jim Jones's appeal was never about being the best lyricist. He built his brand on energy, authenticity, and a hustler's mentality that resonated with the streets. However, as hip-hop evolved, artists who maintained longevity found ways to refine their craft, experiment with their sound, and offer something fresh with each release. Jim Jones, on the other hand, remained stylistically stagnant. His early success was fueled by Dipset's signature production, aggressive delivery, and flamboyant Harlem swagger. But after We Fly High, the formula started to wear thin. His flow remained basic, his subject matter didn't evolve, and as a result, his music started to feel repetitive. By the time Pray for Rain in 2009 dropped, hip-hop had shifted. Artists like Lil Wayne were taking lyricism to new heights, Kanye West was pushing sonic boundaries, and even street rappers like Jeezy and Rick Ross were finding ways to refine their sound for mainstream success. Jim Jones's lack of artistic growth hurt him when the Dipset wave died down. His core fans stayed loyal, but he struggled to capture new listeners. His later projects, while respected in certain circles, never had the same cultural impact because they failed to push his artistry forward. Even when he released solid albums like El Capo in 2019, which showcased some of his best rapping, it was too late. He had already lost the mainstream's attention. In hip-hop, you can't just stay in your lane forever. Growth is essential, and Jim Jones, despite his industry connections and influence, never developed beyond the raw street energy that made him famous. As the game evolved, he didn't, leaving him stuck in a place where his music no longer demanded the same level of attention. Even his presentation musically and pretty much everything else remains a page ripped from the 2000s, while that time and audience era is long gone. Stunt number 2, internal conflicts and Dipset's downfall.
Cam was my partner, my brother. We did everything together.
One of Jim Jones's biggest opportunities came when Camron, the leader of Dipset, stepped away from the industry in the late 2000s. With Juelz Santana also dealing with label issues and personal struggles, Jones had the perfect chance to become the face of the movement. Instead, infighting and ego clashes tore the group apart, ultimately stunning his momentum. Jones's fallout with Camron became public around 2007, with both taking shots at each other in interviews and on records. But what made things worse was Jim's decision to align himself with 50 Cent, Dipset's biggest enemy at the time. Cam and 50 had been beefing for years, with Camron mocking 50 in a viral Hot 97 interview and the two throwing jabs on wax. So when Jim Jones and Juelz Santana started getting closer to 50, even appearing in interviews with him, it sent a clear message that Dipset's unity was fractured. From Jim's perspective, linking with 50 was a strategic move. G-Unit was still one of the most powerful brands in hip-hop, and he saw an opportunity to boost his solo career while Dipset was in disarray. But this only deepened the divide between he and Camron, making it harder for Dipset to recover. Fans who once saw them as a tight-knit Harlem brotherhood now saw it as a group falling apart from the inside. By the time Dipset attempted a reunion in the 2010s, the magic was gone. Their internal conflicts had already done too much damage, and Jim's chance to lead had passed. Instead of using Cam's absence to strengthen the movement, he became a divisive figure, contributing to Dipset's downfall rather than carrying them forward. Stunt number 3, missed business opportunities and industry politics. Jim Jones always had a hustler's mentality, but when it came to capitalizing on business opportunities that could have extended his mainstream relevance, he often fell short. While other rappers from his era evolved beyond music, securing major brand deals, launching successful ventures, or leveraging industry relationships, Jones remained stuck in a cycle of short-term wins that never led to long-term growth. A prime example of this was his failure to maximize the impact of We Fly High. The song was one of the biggest anthems of the 2000s, with its Ballin ad-lib becoming a cultural catchphrase. But instead of using that momentum to lock in endorsements, merchandising, or even expanding his influence in sports culture, where the phrase was widely used, Jones let the moment pass without fully capitalizing on it. Beyond that, his industry relationships, or lack thereof, also played a role in his stagnation. He often positioned himself as the underdog, moving independently and embracing the role of industry outsider. While this gave him street credibility, it also made it harder for him to form strategic partnerships that could have helped him sustain his career. His reputation for beefing with industry figures, including his issues with Jay-Z, Camron, and later Roc Nation, closed doors that could have otherwise helped him stay relevant. Meanwhile, other Dipset affiliates like Camron pivoted into podcasting, business, fashion, and real estate, and even Juelz Santana, despite legal and personal troubles, still had mainstream appeal when he returned. Jones, however, was left to rely solely on music, an industry where consistency and evolution are key to longevity. By not making the right moves outside of rap and burning too many bridges within the industry, Jim Jones found himself boxed in. When his music stopped making waves, he had no other platforms to keep him afloat. All in all, Jim Jones had all the tools to elevate from a street rapper to a long-term hip-hop powerhouse. He had the influence, the brand, and a massive hit that could have set him up for bigger things. But his lack of artistic growth, internal conflicts within Dipset, and failure to capitalize on key opportunities left him trapped in the past. Even now, his career feels like a time capsule of the 2000s, still moving the same way, rapping the same way, and engaging in the same old feuds. His ongoing issues with Camron in 2025 show that even decades later, he's still caught up in Dipset drama instead of evolving beyond it. Meanwhile, hip-hop has moved on. Jones remains respected, but his inability to grow beyond what made him great is why his time as a dominant force in rap was ultimately short-lived. Salute, much respect, but for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, StuntedGrowthMusic, and I'm out.